If you asked me what the happiest day of my life was supposed to be, I'd probably have told you, without hesitation, my wedding day. At least, that's what I thought. The night before, I was nervous but excited. I couldn't sleep. I wasn't worried about the marriage. I knew I wanted to spend my life with Olivia. We'd been together 3 years. She was funny, sarcastic, a little impulsive. I loved that about her. I loved her even when she'd frustrate me. She'd walk around the house in my old college t-shirt, barefoot, humming out of tune. That's what I thought about the night before our wedding. I stayed at a hotel with my best man, Cole. Olivia was supposed to be with her maid of honor, Jenna. Tradition, right? We even agreed. No texting, no calling, no last-minute sneaking around to see each other. Just excitement, but something didn't sit right. Call it instinct, call it fear, but when I went down to the bar for a drink, I saw Jenna sitting alone at the corner of the hotel lounge. No Olivia, just Jenna, on her second glass of wine, eyes scanning her phone like it held the secrets of the universe. I didn't approach her. Maybe I should have. Instead, I walked back up to my room, trying to shake the weird feeling off. Cole was snoring on the pull-out couch. I laid in bed staring at the ceiling. Around 1:30 a.m., I texted Olivia. "Can't sleep. You okay?" No response. Nothing the rest of the night. The next morning, I chalked it up to nerves. The usual pre-wedding chaos. My groomsmen were buzzing around the hotel room, steaming jackets, downing coffee, and cracking jokes. I tried to act normal, even laughed a few times. But that off feeling wouldn't go away. It got worse when Jenna showed up to the venue looking off. Eyes red, smiling too much. That kind of smile people wear when they're trying to hide something. I remember asking her where Olivia was. She just gave a shrug and said, "Getting final touches done. She'll be here." She wasn't late. She showed up on time, looking breathtaking in her dress. Everyone gasped when she walked down the aisle. But I couldn't stop looking at her. Not like a man in love. Like a man searching for something in his bride's eyes, something broken. Something off. It was there, behind the smile, but I married her anyway. Because I loved her. Because I didn't know the truth yet. Because I didn't know that the night before our wedding, Olivia slept with someone else. Not a stranger, not an ex, someone I knew, and I wouldn't find out until a month after our honeymoon, by accident. But we'll get to that. The first few weeks of marriage were good. Or maybe I just wanted them to be. We did the honeymoon thing, 10 days in Greece. Sunsets over white rooftops, ocean air, late-night walks through alleyways lined with old lanterns. It looked like a damn postcard. But looking back, it all felt a little too polished. Like we were playing a part. I'd catch her zoning out sometimes. We'd be halfway through dinner and I'd realize she hadn't heard a word I said. I figured she was just tired. We'd just had a wedding, traveled halfway across the world, and we were still adjusting. But deep down, something kept tugging at me. The distance. The way she avoided eye contact in quiet moments. The way she'd grab her phone and turn it face down on the table when it buzzed. I didn't question it. I didn't want to be that guy, the insecure husband already paranoid 2 weeks into the marriage. But then, around week 4, it happened. We were having dinner with some friends, people from both sides. One of my college buddies, Nate, brought along his roommate, Ryan. Ryan was never really my friend. Just someone who floated around in our group, mostly through Nate. Tall, smug, and always weirdly flirtatious with Olivia. Even back when we were dating. But Olivia used to roll her eyes at him and brush it off. At dinner, she laughed at every dumb joke he made. Touched his arm when he said something remotely clever. Even Nate looked at me at one point like, "Are you seeing this?" I stayed quiet, kept the smile on, pretended I wasn't watching her body language, pretended I didn't see her mouth something to him when she got up to go to the bathroom. 10 minutes later, she still wasn't back. So I followed. I didn't catch them doing anything, nothing obvious. But I saw Ryan standing outside the women's restroom. Saw her step out, startled when she saw me. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice calm. "You okay?" She blinked. "Yeah, just fixing my hair." Ryan chimed in like a jackass. "She's lucky to have you, man. Beautiful wife. You hit the jackpot." I smiled back, but something inside me hardened. That night in bed, she curled up against me like nothing had happened. I kissed her forehead, but I was wide awake. Something was wrong. Something was off, so I waited until she fell asleep. Then I got up and checked her phone. It was locked with a new passcode. She'd never locked her phone before. I didn't say anything the next morning, but I started to pay attention to patterns, to little lies, to her sudden, late meetings, or the way she laughed when her phone buzzed and she said, "It's just Jenna," without me asking. But the worst part? I started questioning myself. Was I being paranoid, possessive, insecure? Was I turning into someone I didn't want to be? I didn't have answers. All I had was a gut feeling that something started before our wedding, and it hadn't stopped. 2 weeks after that dinner with Ryan, I finally stopped making excuses for her. It was a Wednesday night. Olivia was working late, again. She texted me at 6:12 p.m., "Don't wait up. It's a long one tonight." Weary. She worked in event planning, so late nights weren't unusual. But something in the way she said it felt rehearsed, polished, like she'd said the same thing to me 100 times before. And maybe to someone else, too. I sat there in the kitchen with a beer, staring at that text, feeling hollow. We'd only been married a month and a half, and already I felt like I was living with a stranger. She still kissed me, still slept next to me, still said, "Love you," every day. But there was a weight in her eyes now. Guilt, maybe, or worse, indifference. That night, I didn't wait up. But I did wait. I watched the tracker I had secretly installed on her phone. I know how that sounds. I hate myself for it. But I needed to know. At first, she was exactly where she said she'd be, downtown, near the event venue. But around 9:30, she moved. Not home, not another office, some apartment complex near the edge of the city. She stayed there until 1:07 a.m. and then came home like nothing happened. The next morning, she was in the shower, singing like she always used to. Like everything was fine. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at her phone on the nightstand. Face down, same as always. But this time, she forgot to lock it. I don't even know what I was looking for at first. Messages? Photos? Anything. I opened her photo gallery, and that's where I found it. Not the usual folder. Not recents. It was in recently deleted. 7 videos. A few blurred thumbnails. One of them showed her in a hotel room mirror, wearing lingerie I'd never seen before. Her phone camera was tilted down. She was laughing. Behind her, someone walked into frame. Ryan. He kissed her neck. She didn't stop him. I hit play. Watched it all. Silent. Frozen. She was with him. The night before our wedding. The timestamp was from 12:38 a.m. hours before she walked down the aisle and said forever. I don't know how long I sat there. By the time she came out of the shower, I was fully dressed, phone in hand, ready to leave. But I didn't. I just stared at her. Water dripping from her hair. That towel wrapped tight around her. She smiled at me. Morning. I didn't say anything. Not then. I couldn't. Because if I opened my mouth, I was either going to scream or collapse. She kissed my cheek. Walked past me like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't torn my world in half before I even said, "I do." That day, I made a decision. I wouldn't confront her yet. Not until I had everything. Proof. A plan. A way to make her feel even a fraction of what I felt in that moment. Because if she wanted to lie so easily, so cleanly, then I'd let her think she got away with it. For now, for the next few days, I lived like two people. To her face, I was still the husband she thought she fooled, calm, affectionate, a little distant maybe, but not suspicious. I made coffee every morning, kissed her goodbye before work, texted her midday like always. But underneath, I was cold and deliberate. Every lie she told me, every fake smile, I filed away. I didn't want a screaming match, I wanted control. I copied everything off her phone. Photos, messages, the whole cloud. She didn't even notice. She was too busy sneaking smiles at her screen, typing faster than she ever texted me. I found hundreds of messages with Ryan. Most of them started after our engagement, but the oldest thread, the one that destroyed me, was dated the night before our wedding. "Are you sure you want to do this tomorrow? Oh. Stop. Don't make it harder. You'll think about me standing up there, won't you? Oh. Maybe." She'd sent that while I was sitting in my hotel room trying not to text her, reminding myself it was bad luck to talk before the ceremony. She was in a hotel room, too, but not alone. I wanted to confront her right there, but anger was a luxury I couldn't afford yet. She had no idea what I knew, and that gave me power. So I started preparing. First, I visited a lawyer. I didn't tell him every detail, just enough to understand my options. He told me to document everything, to stay calm, to let her hang herself with her own lies. Then, I opened a new bank account in my name only. Moved my paycheck deposit. Quietly started transferring balances. I canceled the joint credit card and reported it lost, requesting a new one sent only to me. She'd notice eventually, but by then, it wouldn't matter. I even spoke with our landlord, pretending it was a future move planning thing. Learned what notice I'd need to give if I decided to move out first. Step by step, I was building an escape route and a trap. But what ate me alive at night wasn't just the cheating. It was the why. She had everything. We both did. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. We laughed. We had plans. She cried when she said her vows, and it looked real. So I kept watching. I used a small voice-activated recorder in her car, another in her purse. I told myself I just needed the truth. I didn't care what it took. And within a week, I had it. One recording was just her and Jenna, her maid of honor, talking in a coffee shop. Olivia. I can't believe I did that. I thought I could forget about it once we got married. Jenna. Then why keep talking to him? Olivia. Because he doesn't make me feel small like Daniel does. That one line shattered me. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. So I decided on my revenge. Not the kind that gets you arrested. The kind that leaves a mark, quiet, devastating, permanent. She was about to learn what it feels like to lose everything she took for granted. I woke up that Friday knowing exactly what I was going to do. It wasn't rage anymore, not even heartbreak. Just a cold kind of focus that felt like clarity after a long fever. For weeks I'd been watching her live her lie, smiling at me over morning coffee, texting him when she thought I couldn't see, talking about starting a family soon, while she was still sneaking out to see Ryan. I had every message, every photo, every recording, enough to destroy her if I wanted, but I didn't want to scream, or fight, or humiliate her in public. That'd make me look bitter. I wanted her to feel the silence of losing everything without even realizing it was happening. That morning, I went to work like usual. Sent her a text around noon. Dinner tonight? Haven't had a quiet night in a while. She replied a minute later, cheerful. I'd love that red heart. What's the occasion? There wasn't one. Not for her, anyway. I made a reservation at her favorite restaurant, the one where we'd celebrated our engagement. I even wore the same shirt. Played the part of the husband she thought she still owned. Dinner went perfectly. Too perfectly. She laughed, told me about some new client she landed, brushed my hand across the table like she was really there. And all I could think was, how long has she practiced this act? She didn't know I'd already emptied our joint account that morning, moving everything into a new one in my name. Didn't know I'd met with a realtor to terminate our lease. Didn't know that tomorrow morning, I'd be gone. When the check came, I excused myself to the restroom. In reality, I went outside and called Ryan. He didn't answer. I left a voicemail. Calm. Direct. Hey Ryan, this is Daniel, Olivia's husband. I just wanted to let you know I found everything. Every message, every video. You might want to check with her before she lies to you again. Have a good night. I hung up, walked back in, and smiled like nothing happened. At home, she poured us a glass of wine. We sat on the couch, and she rested her head on my shoulder. For a moment, I almost forgot what she'd done. Almost believed it was still us, that woman I loved, the life we planned. But then her phone buzzed. She jumped, grabbed it fast. Her face drained. Everything okay? I asked. She hesitated. Yeah, just, Jenna. I nodded, sipping my wine. Right, Jenna. She didn't know I could see Ryan's name reflected in the TV screen. She didn't know this was the last night I'd ever spend under the same roof. At 2 a.m., I got up quietly, took my packed duffel bag, and left the house. I didn't slam doors, didn't leave a note, just left her ring, my ring, and a printed folder of every screenshot, every message, every video, sitting neatly on the kitchen table. The title page read, "For when you wake up." By the time she found it, I was gone. New apartment, new number, new bank account. Her access to everything was gone. Money, car, insurance, all frozen. The lawyer already had the divorce filing ready to serve. The text came around noon. Daniel, please. We need to talk. Please call me. I'm so sorry. I didn't respond. She called 5 times. Then 10. Voicemail every time. And that's when the silence started doing its work. I didn't destroy her with noise. I destroyed her with absence. And for the first time in months, I could breathe. I stayed quiet for 7 days. Not because I didn't want to hear her voice, part of me did. Not because I didn't care anymore, if anything, I cared too much. But because I wanted her to sit with it, to feel the full weight of what she'd done without the distraction of arguing, begging, or explaining. On the 8th day, my lawyer served her divorce papers, grounds, infidelity, along with them, full evidence packet, time-stamped screenshots, videos, texts, and a list of every personal and financial move I'd already made. I knew exactly when she got them. She called me 3 times in a row at 2:13 p.m., then texted. I had no idea you were serious. Daniel, please don't do this. Can we talk? That was followed by a string of longer texts. Guilt, justifications, the usual script. It only happened twice. I was confused. I didn't think it would matter once we were married. Ryan meant nothing. I was just scared. You were too perfect, and I didn't feel like I deserved it. Please don't throw everything away over one mistake. One mistake. That was the part that did it. Like she'd tripped on the way to the altar and accidentally landed on another man. She showed up to my new apartment 2 days later. I didn't tell her the address. I assumed Jenna gave it to her. I didn't let her in. She stood there, no makeup, no composure. Just this raw, stripped-down version of the woman I married. She kept pacing in front of my door like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to knock again. I opened the door just wide enough to speak. She looked at me like she hadn't slept in days. Daniel, please, just let me explain. You did, I said calmly. Over text, over video, the night before our wedding. Tears instantly, like flipping a switch. I thought it wouldn't matter. I thought I could bury it. I didn't plan it. Ryan showed up, and I don't even know what I was thinking. You were thinking about yourself, I said. That's all you've done since day one. She shook her head. No, I was scared. I knew I was marrying a good man. Too good. And I didn't know if I was enough. I cut her off. So you cheated? That's your answer to fear? Silence. She looked down, wiped her face, then whispered, I never thought you'd actually leave. And there it was. The truth, clean and ugly. She thought I'd stay, that I'd forgive, that I'd break, and she'd get to rebuild the story the way she wanted it told. But I didn't. I didn't scream. I didn't spit hate. I just handed her the envelope she left behind at the wedding, the one labeled, vows. Keep it, I said. You'll need it for the next guy. Then I closed the door. That night, she called Ryan. I know because one of the last recordings from her phone caught the call. You told him? Ryan said. No, he found everything. All of it. So what now? Now? She said, voice cracking. Now I lose everything. She quit her job 2 weeks later. Moved back in with her mom. Ryan? He ghosted her after that call. No more secret smiles. No more late-night hotel rooms. He moved on before she even had time to panic. The woman who once had 2 men orbiting her now had no one. And for the first time since all of this started, I didn't feel pain. Just peace. I thought the end would come with fireworks. Some kind of final blowout. Court dates, screaming matches, dividing the house key like a custody battle. But it didn't. It ended with silence, with paperwork and signatures and a name that went from mine to hers again. And that was enough. 3 months after I walked away, I got the final notice. Divorce finalized. No alimony, no shared debt, no property to divide. She'd tried to push for mediation, said we could work something out. I declined. My lawyer told me Olivia hesitated to sign at first, tried to play the remorse card, asked if I'd be open to counseling. I wasn't. I saw her one more time. Not intentionally. It was at a local grocery store. I was grabbing some things for dinner. She was walking out with a single bag, dressed down, alone. Our eyes locked. I expected guilt. I expected shame. What I saw instead was loss. Not the loss of me, specifically. The loss of control, of the version of her life she thought she could manipulate and keep clean. For the first time, she looked small. Not in some vengeful way. Just real. She opened her mouth to say something, but I just nodded once and walked past. There was nothing left to say. It's funny, people think revenge has to be loud, public, destructive, cinematic, but the best revenge is closure, not just walking away, but building something better after. Living well. These days, I wake up early, drink my coffee alone, and feel peace, not paranoia. I started working out again. I see friends more. I even caught myself laughing without thinking about her. I'm not healed all the way, not yet. But I'm no longer bleeding. A friend asked me last week if I'd ever trust someone again. I told him the truth. Yeah. But slower, with eyes wide open, because love didn't betray me. She did, and she doesn't get to take love away from me, too. She cheated the night before our wedding. I gave her everything, time, loyalty, trust. And in the end, I walked away with something she'll never have again. My integrity.